Yeah, I meant to do this video before I put the SR10m on the track, but the front end alignment looked pretty yucky and I had some weather, so I thought I'd take it out. That turned out to be a good idea because I found a couple of issues that were easy enough to fix. And before all the whining starts about the car's all dirty, it is a dirt track and this is right off of the track. I've always felt that if my dirt cars are cleaner on the front than they are on the back, I'm doing something better than some guys. Of course, I was the only one on the track, so that's not as true as it could be, but so what? Besides, I think this looks more like a Saturday night street stock that's been raced, not just sit around getting polished. First, let's talk about the tires because it's obvious they're not stock. I use these tires because they're very close to the size of the original ones that are on the right in these pictures. That means that they fit the suspension and body better without modification, and they didn't make a substantial gearing change on their own. And if you were thinking you saw these tires someplace before, you did. They were on my Losi Sprinter. The ones I put on my associated car came off the Sprinter and were the harder tires that came with it. I had since put on a softer set on the Sprinter, so I had these sitting around. When we get on the track to do some serious testing, I put the original tires and wheels back on the associated car before we go back to the Sprinter tires and see which ones are better. When I took the SR10 out of the box, the right front wheel was towed out hopelessly. Before I went on the track, I changed that toe out to a little toe in, and the front end seemed to drive pretty well. As I do with all my dirt oval cars, I started out with 2 degrees of camber all the way around. I always start out with the bottom of my shocks mounted as close to the wheels as I can, front and back. That little angle on the shocks seems to get a little smoother dampening, and it may reduce the ride height just a tick. Like all the manufacturers, Associated gears these cars for the big top end speeds that sells so many cars. But there's a lot of cheap speed to be had by gearing the car right for the track you're on. When I got the SR10 on the track, I discovered that the slipper clutch was absolutely locked up. I had to back the nut off 2 or 3 turns just to get it to slip a little bit on that bench. The first thing when we get back on the track, I'll be dialing in the slipper to where I like it. And as I do whenever possible, I installed my Spectrum receiver with the advanced vehicle control in it. It's not cheating when I only race on my track in my yard, so get over it. And that lets me add the SR10 to my DX5 Pro, so I got all my cars on one radio. And yes, this is where you can get over that too. As soon as I got the now adjusted SR10 on the track, I could tell we were headed in the right direction. Just getting that right front wheel towed into where it's supposed to be let me drive it where I want it to actually go. And my normal 2 degrees of camber to get started with seemed to be helping all 4 tires get a better grip on the track. Of course, if you forget to turn in on time, you can make it look like you're thinking about heading out to the parking lot for some popcorn or something. With a new car like this, I'm kind of glad that it's me making the mistakes and not the car. On my dry slick track, the SR10 seems to like it when you take it in fast, let it drift a little bit before you get back on the gas, otherwise you'll turn it around. I've got the slipper clutch slipping just a little bit, and that's the way I usually like it, but you can still turn this thing around if you're not careful. I should point out that it's got the tires on it that came with the kit. I haven't put the Losi tires on yet. The SR10 seems to carry its broad slide longer than most of my other cars, but if you don't get carried away with the gas, you can carry a lot of speed through the turn. On my dry slick track, I try starting to roll the gas on when the car takes a set and try to have the trigger all the way pulled back about halfway down the straightaway. And sometimes I don't let go of the gas in time like I should. Of course, I should have said that I moved the berm up on purpose there so I could be faster the next time around. The big side to doing this, if you're racing with other cars, is right about here is where you get plastered by somebody else coming around the corner. I also found out that if I took the Highliner on the track, I could carry enough speed that new gearing I put in seems to work out just fine. This is with the Losi tires from the sprint car on the SR10, and I couldn't believe how much more bite it's got. The car's carrying more speed off of the turn and down the straight, and when you get to the next turn, it holds a better line if you turn it in at the right time. This is dirt, and of course it still slides when you pitch it in the turn, but it doesn't slide near as far, and you can get on the gas sooner now. Keep in mind that this is the harder of the 2 compounds that they made for the sprint car. I just might have to jerk the soft compound off of the sprint car and put them on the SR10 for a little while and see how that works. I expect if they're going to have a spec class for this car, they're going to tell you to leave the Losi tires at home. Fortunately, this is my car and my track with my rules, so I get to run what I brung. Of course, if somebody like Proline would make a set of Hoosiers on wheels for this car, I'd have to try some of them. Not only got the SR10 set up a little better and got some batteries through it, I gotta say that I like this car. And while I wasn't real impressed with the body style when I first got this car, you get it going sideways to throw dirt around and it's looking a whole lot more like a street stock all the time. Of course, then some twit does this with it and we're looking like a boner heat on a Saturday night. The SR10 chassis works well. The motor that comes with this car's got plenty of power. And like most cars, it's going to be important to get the gearing right for whatever track you're on. And as with any new car, you're going to have to run hundreds of laps to figure out how to drive it and get used to it. Oh, woe is us.